Good evening, Year 11. This is your night before news video for Maths Paper 3 Higher. Obviously your Paper 3 is tomorrow morning, your final Maths paper, so in this video we'll just go over some last minute tips for some last minute revision. First of all, let's think about what could possibly be in the exam. Now, as we did in the night before news video for Paper 2, here is everything that came up in Paper 1. And now that we've sat Paper 2, here is everything that came up in Paper 2. So when we think about what's going to be in this exam, we have this health warning. So we can't say for certain that topics that have already appeared will not come up again. However, it does make sense to revise topics that have not yet been seen. Excuse me. There is no guarantee that the following topics will appear in Paper 3. However, they do provide areas to focus on. So I've just taken the list that I wrote for Paper 2 and deleted the things that came up. So we did have inequalities. We had plotting linear inequalities and identifying the correct region, and we had a quadratic inequality to solve too. But there is still a possibility of linear inequalities, solving those, maybe plotting those onto a number line. Solving quadratics using the quadratic formula, algebraic fractions, simultaneous equations. In Paper 1 we had that linear one, but we haven't seen any graphical simultaneous equations or any non-linear simultaneous equations. Algebraic proof, plotting linear graphs, quadratic graphs, feature quadratic graphs. That one should have been deleted. Apologies for that. That did come up in Paper 2. Equations of tangents, sequences, so quadratic, geometric, Fibonacci, etc. And then functions. We've not had any functions yet, so it could be substituting, composite, inverse, a bit more problem solving, so forming an equation, solving. For geometry, you can see again I've deleted what hasn't come up yet, what came up in Paper 2, leaving us with the following. So we've got circle theorems. You did have that proof of the circle theorem at the end, but there could be a more straightforward circle theorems question in there. No further trigonometry yet, so I think that's highly likely, and not really any compound measures either, so maybe a speed question, density question, pressure question. Variance hasn't come up at all. There is always that possibility of loci and constructions, some more angles work. There was a question that involved trapezium, and you did use a little bit of angles and parallel lines, but you were also forming and solving an equation. So you could have some more angles in parallel lines or in polygons. And volume and surface area. You had surface area of cylinder involved in that similarity question, but you haven't had to really calculate any surface areas or any tricky volumes at all. For statistics and probability, cumulative frequency did finally come up, but it doesn't mean that you won't see a box plot question, anything on medians, interquartile ranges, averages from frequency tables, or just averages in general, but I think likely if it comes up from a frequency table. Product rule for counting, so thinking about the number of different ways things can happen, and we have had quite a bit of probability now, but I've just still included that there in bold because it is, a big strand, and potentially there could be another little probability question thrown in. Number, so again, deleting what came up, that leaves us with bounds. You had a very small bounds question that just asked you for the smallest possible value of something. So I'm thinking that perhaps this is the paper where we see a bigger bounds question. Maybe you've got to calculate an upper and lower bound. It could say considering bounds, find the value of. Standard form hasn't come up at all. I think it's probably guaranteed to come up. I'm not sure I remember an exam series where there wasn't any standard form. And compound interest, percentages, repeated percentage change, reverse, I think that's quite likely. And then also iteration hasn't come up at all. Ratio and proportion, I feel like there's been a steady flow of ratios through some of these questions, but I still don't want to rule out that we won't see any more ratio. Capture, recapture, got currency conversions, and there was an inverse proportion equations question in Paper 2, but maybe there's a room for one for a table of values. Not guaranteed, but it hasn't come up yet, and it's possible. So what should you do tonight then? Well, if you want to look at specific topics, you've got the standard places to go. So you've still got Sparked Maths, go to Independent Learning, check that you're on GCSE curriculum, and then you can search for your topic. You've got Exam Queue, so make sure you're on Higher, and then select Papers 2 and 3, because calculator topics are just calculator topics, and then you can search for whatever you want to look up, And remember, you do have the actual exam mark schemes there to use. Maths Genie, so get onto the home page and then click GCSE revision, and you've got a list of topics there of themed papers with videos, questions, and then solutions. Topic Maths is similar in that respect. Click on videos and worksheets and you've got a big list of topic packs with videos, practice questions, and then there's also answers. First Class Maths is a very good resource as well, so if you click revision, make sure you click Edexcel and not AQA, and then you have got a list of topics there again in packs with videos, questions and solutions. If you want to do full papers, you've obviously got any remaining papers that you've been given and taken home. You've also got Maths Genie again, so click on GCSE papers, Edexcel exam papers, and then make sure you're looking at higher. Tomorrow morning then, come in please from as early as you can into Hub from 7. Bring some questions that you haven't been able to answer. We'll have some spare papers that you can be working through, and you'll also have access to computers, so you can go on all of those previous websites we've mentioned. And then line up probably about 8:20, 8:25, and then we'll come up to the classrooms again and do our final last minute revision on our breakfast maths before we head in for our final maths paper. Okay, that's everything. Good luck, and we'll see you in the morning.